day. This is Richard Wexler, and this is Caring in America, the podcast for caregivers and care recipients. So, folks, the ones that have been listening to me for quite a while now know my story. 20 years ago, married later in my early 50s, and minding my own business, 2 young kids. My wife and I had all 4 parents with us. We thought they were doing great. And we find out via phone calls in the summer of '05 that each one of them is pretty ill, which starts a 14-year adventure for us taking care of all 4 of them. The last parent passing in 2019 at 96, which started me in the elder care, senior care arena, which started this podcast about 3 years ago, which started A Plan to AIDS, the national nonprofit that I now run as a CEO. We have a special guest with us today, Jacci Ryan. Jacci, where are you physically sitting?
I'm physically in Northwest Arkansas.
What town are you sitting now?
Fayetteville, home of the Razorbacks, University of Arkansas. We have J.B. Hunt, Walmart, Tyson's here. So we are a very large, growing metropolitan area. Yeah.
Is that suing pigs for Arkansas, or do I have...
That's right. Don't get me started doing a hog call for you, Richard.
That's funny to me. Well, your story, which I'm going to let you talk about, is similar to mine. You put in your bio that you would call yourself a reluctant expert in the field of senior advocacy. I know you were working in commercial real estate, and then I will let you take it from there. What happened? What changed your life?
It is, similar to yours, Richard. I got the call. One fall does it all. My dad had fallen and broke his hip. I had no idea the wormhole of healthcare that I was entering. None of us have an idea of what we're entering, and into a whole different realm of caregiving. In addition to you doing your job, your work, and raising your kids or whatever else is going on. And with my dad was 7 years of dealing with caregiving, home care agencies and stuff. And for my mom separately, because they were divorced, 6 months under hospice care and trying to find home care agency to help me with her as well. So, what you're saying there. So the one fall does it all, and he fell, broke his hip. I called a home care agency. I didn't call 2, 3, 4, 5. We're in a crisis. I need a home care agency. I was referred to one. And it started out okay. Had one really nice caregiver there part-time, and that worked okay. And then eventually my dad fell and had broken his other hip about 6 months later. So then he required... Yes.
Both hips?
Yes. He fell again later and broke the different hip, the other hip.
Wow.
So from there on, he required 24/7 care. And from there on, when you're hiring a home care agency, you would hope that they're vetting their employees. I would assume they would at least be background checked. Me being in real estate, I've been licensed. I am licensed in the state of Texas, licensed in the state of Arkansas. I have been fingerprinted and background checked, not even to be in your house, but to sell a piece of dirt. I have been fingerprinted and background checked in both states as a realtor to sell property. But in the state of Arkansas, yes, there's supposed to be background check. Well, who oversees that?
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Not required to be fingerprinted, none whatsoever. And so the reason I authored Caregivers, Scaretakers to make a long story short, in 7 years, is eventually we got a wonderful caregiver through the home care agency. And there's 3 parts. 1, she showed up. Yeah. 2, she showed up on time. And 3, she had a great smile, very engaging, and dad liked her. She didn't mind him smoking. She didn't mind his dog. We're on a farm. And I mean, I uprooted my life in Dallas, Texas to return to Northwest Arkansas because of, we call it now, my parents' ageism. My mother was divorced, never remarried by herself. But my dad's second wife, her cancer returned. And so she passed in 2004. And so dad fell around 2000, yeah, 14, 15, 2014, 15, and for this caregiving journey until his end of life in 2022.
Wow.
So, to make a long story short, the one that showed up finally, 6 months into her employment, I'd found a receipt for $900 for tires. And it wasn't on my father's vehicles. It was her car. I took it to my then my brother and my stepbrother. We had a meeting with my dad and the caregiver, and she cried, and it was just a loan. I was going to pay it back, and blah blah.
Oh, so she was charging you guys
Yeah.
for her tires.
Well, my dad paid for her tires. My dad paid for her tires. We should have fired her. We should have notified the agency and fired her. But we were so tired of going through so many different people through the ages. So we kept this, we kept this caregiver, the biggest mistake of our life. And so, long story short, about 2.5 years into her employment, when she knows she has my dad wrapped around her finger, as I said, he is widowed. And, there are other 2 or 3 different caregivers that she would, I say, throw under the bus because, hey, she's the favorite one. She's the best one. She does all the work, whatever. And how do you build yourself up is by putting other people down. And in this time that she disclosed to me and a neighbor that she'd been in jail before. She'd been in jail for meth. And yeah. And
Just taking care of your dad.
yeah. So, and I found
Did
her.
your dad give her? Did your dad give her permission to go buy the tires, or did she just do it?
Oh, no. My dad went with her. And this is kind of the crux of older people, Richard, is that they don't feel needed. They don't feel needed. Thank you. You've raised me right. I don't need your money. I'm good. But so, oh, I'd love to send my grandkids to the camp, but it costs money. I'd love to send my grandkids, but I just don't have money. Here, honey, let me help you out. Oh, I need some tires. Here, honey, let me help you out. He feels needed. So he feels valued.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. And then you find out she's had a drug problem. She was in jail. So what happens next?
I found her face on mugshot. It was not pleasant. She had a beautiful smile because her teeth were not real. Yeah. And so I went to the agency and I just thought they didn't and let me paint the picture. I felt like when I met her and she was engaging with me and on Johnny on the spot, whatever, I felt like I'd made a new best friend. That's how ingrained this person became. And so anyway, yes, to that, I went to the agency and the owner turned his computer toward me and showed me her drug record, showed me that. And he said, well, we kind of inherited her. And so that leads me to, we hired her at one agency. That first agency, The accounts person was caught embezzling money, charging us overtime and everything. So we moved this particular caregiver from one agency to another agency. We did not know she'd had a record. We didn't know that. But this agency knew it and they still hired her. Why? Because they didn't want to lose my dad's account. My dad was wealthy. He was paying this agency about $220,000 a year, Richard. I mean, you think about it, because it's 24/7 care, overtime. That's why I was always scrambling trying to find a third caregiver to not have overtime on one caregiver. And
Wow.
it'd be, instead of, and that these caregivers get paid at that time 10 to 14, maybe 15 an hour, 10 to 14 an hour. So as an independent contractor, which is not correct because they are required to show up someplace to work, they should be getting a W-2, not as an independent contractor, 1099. So the question is, Richard, who wants to work for $10 or $12 an hour as an independent contractor, sitting with an old guy or old person all day long to sit and watch TV? Okay, maybe do this or that. So that's when I came into the what happened here. And so they continued. I mean, the employment still happened. They weren't going to fire her. They didn't fire her. At the last year of his life, the year before he died, this Scaretaker convinced my dad I was after his money and was going to put him in a nursing home because she knew I was on to her. I was I was on to her about the care sheets and all this. And he was buying her cartons of cigarettes. He'd smoke, she'd smoke. If you want to smoke, you can smoke. My dad's like 86 years old, and this woman is telling him it's okay for him to smoke. I mean, but hey, he would buy her carton of cigarettes as well. She was white trash, trash. He paid off her seller finance mortgage of around $28,000. I was even his financial POA. I was his healthcare POA. And in the last year of his life, she had my dad call his attorney and remove me as his health POA, which had nothing to do with money. And why is that? Because there was 3 receipts, and I took pictures of these groceries of $300 in about 2 weeks' time. And I sent this picture of these receipts, all these groceries for this little skinny man. And I said, "Do you have enough groceries now to last through the end of the month?" And there was no response. Quiet. And within 30 days, my dad had called the attorney and removed me as his health POA. No discussion, nothing. My stepbrother called my husband. Don't know what happened, but here you go. This is what's going on. Blah, 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 blah. Wow. No discussion. That's it. Didn't matter. A month later, he fell. He called me. I was there in minutes. I sat with him for 2 hours until my mother's son finally showed up. And I said, "Why did you remove me as your POA? I would have had you at the doctor's an hour ago." He says, "You were after my money." And I said, "I don't need your money." He says, "I know that." I mean, how do you argue with somebody who's hurt, who doesn't hear, who's got some dementia? So I just keep my mouth shut until my brother showed up and, whatever. But after that, Richard, my father never, ever, ever called me, ever. And I built my house where I could see my father's house on this land. I would go down every Sunday, bring the Sunday paper. "How you doing, Dad?" "Oh, not, okay." He would not talk to me. I bet he fell, but not under this particular caregiver, but under a different caregiver. And I think this Scaretaker was so mad at him for calling me. She really chewed him out where he never, ever called me. This other good caregiver told me a lot of stuff after the fact. And, that she said my dad would wake up in the middle of the night and afraid that I was going to put him in a nursing home, which never crossed my mind. Didn't cross, no, it's not, I'm never going to do this. But this caregiver convinced my dad that I was going to do that. So, that's my dad's story in a short nutshell. Short.
Let's, so what I want the audience to understand, and folks, like I always say, please share this episode. There are thousands, if not more than thousands, most likely, of similar stories throughout the country that have probably been going on over the last 20, 30, 40 years as we age.
Yes.
And so where I started realizing my wife and I hadn't planned, so I started educating her now with a plan to age, really talk about planning. Tell our audience what you're doing from this experience.
From this experience, Richard, after learning that caregivers might not be background checked and they are not fingerprinted, I finally found a gentleman named David Cook at Arkansas Alzheimer's Association here in the state of Arkansas. I'd been working with a House representative turned Arkansas state senator. He wasn't really pushing. And so I found the Arkansas Alzheimer's Association. And so this gentleman works with legislation throughout Arkansas on behalf of Alzheimer's Association. And so he was able to get a bill written and signed off on. I went and spoke at a family committee, at a committee where the Senate, this was authored by the senator, our state senator. And so I spoke at our state Senate committee meeting. It passed there. It went to the Senate floor. It passed there. But then it went to the House committee where it failed. So we are working again now for the 2027 legislature to work on the bill again where it's not going to fail, to require fingerprinting on all caregivers in the state of Arkansas. And I would love to have FBI Rat Back, which is an ongoing real-time background check that I came across when I was getting my license renewed in the state of Texas for realtors. But it'd be ongoing real-time background check. So if Missy Lou goes across the state line, gets busted for selling meth, and then comes back to work at the nursing home or home care, the employer would have no idea about it. She's bailed out. She's gone back to work. She took some vacation days or sick days or whatever. With FBI Rat Back, that it would blip. It would notify, say, the Arkansas State Police, even though she'd been in Oklahoma. And then the Arkansas State Police would just notify the employer. Not that she's been convicted, but that she was picked up. So there you are. So that's all I'm working on that angle for the state still. I will not give up on that. I'm running for a county justice of the peace here in my county now. And I hope after I'm elected that we can have an elder abuse hotline in 2029 in our county. How about that? And then thirdly, nationwide, Richard, like I think that's how I came across you, is on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm connecting with a lot of different wonderful professional people on LinkedIn. And, I just wasn't thinking big enough. This is a national crisis. We need to have I'm sorry, but true. We need to have a federal law to require caregivers to be fingerprinted and background checked. These people are living in your home. They're making very low wages, and they might feel entitled to shop around in the home, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, what you're doing and what you're asking for is common sense. I mean, I talk about this a lot. We really want to make sure who is with our younger children. Maybe you're going back to work and that child is 6 months old. you're going to spend a lot of due diligence to make sure that that individual or individuals that's watching your child or children is top notch. You would think when we have over 100 million people in this country currently that are 50 and older, I think the number is around 125 million, you would think that we would be doing the same thing to take care of them. We're not. So I give you a lot of credit for what you're doing. As more and more people age, like I know, most people want to age in their home, whether that be a condo, townhouse, apartment, single family home. That's where they want to live. They don't want to move. And we really have, I mean, there's some wonderful agencies out there, wonderful national agencies that are in the home. There's a lot of mom and pop agencies that get created in a local town or a local city
Yep.
and obviously do not have the financial backing of some of the larger agencies. But I don't think you're asking a lot to make sure that someone like this woman who was taking care of your dad can't take care of someone else. We got a couple more minutes before we wrap up, but give us some parting thoughts.
Well, the parting thoughts, my book, Caregivers, Scaretakers, Exposing Fraud in Senior Care. My dad's chapter is 30 pages. It could have been 300. He wants to read all that. My dad's chapter is 30 pages. My mom's chapter is very short. Again, I hired a different home care agency for her, and that person stole her narcotics, Oxycontin and hydrocodone, and had her fired. And she came in and did a written police report admitting that she'd stolen my mom's narcotics. That was through a national home care franchise. But in addition to just forget about, not my stories, but other people's stories. And like you're saying, Richard, this goes on every single day.
Yeah.
And the people don't want to talk about it. They're embarrassed about it. And who are they going to talk to? And a lady that's supporting me because she's got to have caregivers for her husband. And she says, well, I don't want to report them because I know who I'm dealing with, what I'm dealing with. It's better to deal with this war criminal than to deal with somebody you don't know as a war criminal about, it's so don't wait for a crisis to happen. Interview 3 home care agencies at least. What's their protocol? What's their vetting process? On my website, caregiverscaretakers.com, there's a questionnaire that you can fill out. And Richard, I mean, on your website is wonderful resources and references there too. And when you're in a crisis, you're in the fire, and you just don't think about educating yourself because you're busy trying to put the fire out. Don't wait for a fire to happen. Be proactive and get it done. Yeah, be proactive and be prepared. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you. Perfect advice, Jackie. As we do get ready to sign off, if people want to get in touch with you, phone number, email, website, what do you want to give out?
My website, Caregivers, caregiverscaretakers.com, caregiverscaretakers.com, info@caregiverscaretakers.com, authored by Jacklyn, Jacklyn, Ryan. You can find them on Amazon, find my website. And I'm here as an advocate and I dare say an activist, and who's going to take care of us later?
No, I agree. And again, folks, please share this information. Please take Jackie's advice If you're looking for someone to care for a parent, older loved one, do the research, talk to multiple companies, ask them what their vetting process is. This is too important. Just like a child, it's now your 75, 80, 85, 90 plus parent, grandparent, etc. Jackie, we thank you, folks. Until we talk again, have yourself an awesome day.